Nations decline simply because they develop mental, intellectual, social, cultural, and military weaknesses. They begin to perceive their enemies as superior in these aspects, considering themselves inferior, insignificant, and backward. They become intimidated by their enemies, leading to the collapse of their morale, bravery, high-mindedness, and authority. This intimidation by enemies is the very cause of nations' decline and destruction, hindering their ability to rise and resist. Since the nation is already overwhelmed by the enemy's awe, a time comes when a once proud nation resorts to appeasing its enemy to ensure survival. Thus, instead of confronting the enemy, they embolden them, making it easier to attack. To avoid conflict, they abandon their ideals, jihad for the sake of Allah, which is why Muslims today are humiliated in every aspect, having discarded the sword of jihad. Our leaders and rulers are also committed to pleasing the infidels, even to the extent of slaughtering those devoted to jihad at the behest of infidel nations like America, India, Israel, and Britain. Our apathy has reached such a point that when we need to cite an example of valor, we think of Napoleon, completely disregarding our own glorious past. Our nation once uprooted the foundations of the Caesars and Chosroes, before whom Napoleon pales in comparison. Let me tell you about a Muslim hero whose name guarantees victory. The German general Erwin Rommel attributed all his victories to the Islamic hero Khalid bin Walid, who brought the world's self-proclaimed gods, Rome and Persia, to their knees before the Muslim Ummah. A nation's true worth lies in its individuals, who elevate it through their achievements. A nation with sincere workers, practicing scholars, fearless warriors, and honest politicians is destined for progress and worthy of ruling the earth. Before Islam, Arabs were considered savages, living in disarray, incapable of accepting leadership or superiority. They would resort to bloodshed over trivial matters, were extremely rude and boastful of their rudeness, and would sacrifice everything for their tribe, even if they were in the wrong. After a long period of decline and misguidance, Allah had mercy on them and decided to bless them with Islam. Before its advent, Allah created individuals like Qus ibn Sa'idah and Waraka ibn Nawfal, endowed with intellect, thought, and wisdom, to prepare people mentally for Islamic teachings. These individuals attracted Arabs with their wisdom and exposed their misguidance. Some were searching for the religion of Abraham, while others sought an even better faith. The sun of Islam rose after a period of darkness, amidst the tyranny of the Chosroes and Caesars. People had forgotten Allah and were worshipping lifeless idols. Allah decided to guide them and sent Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to reform the world, teaching that only Allah is worthy of worship. He presented a way of life that was unprecedented and unparalleled. The declaration of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah united Muslims, erasing hatred from their hearts and igniting a new fervor. Historians are astonished at the Muslims' rapid conquests, despite their recent emergence from barbarism and their unpreparedness. What transformed this uncivilized and immoral people into a highly civilized nation? The answer is Islam, which united the scattered Arabs and established them on principles of equality and justice. When Muslims looked around, they saw the rich indulging in luxury and the poor suffering under oppression. Humanity was being disgraced, and misguidance was rampant. Then, the Quranic verse became their guiding light. Let there be a community among you who call to the good, enjoin what is right, and forbid what is wrong. They dedicated themselves to this mission, with their sole aim being the propagation of truth and the welfare of Allah's creation. The great warriors in this cause were Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Amr ibn al-As, and Khalid bin Walid, may Allah be pleased with them. Khalid bin Walid was a pivotal figure who crushed the apostates and conquered Iraq and Syria, then great powers, planting the flag of Islam in their hearts. His name struck fear into the enemy, who avoided confrontation. The best era in history was that of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, followed by the era of his companions, then the Tabi'in, and then the Tabi'in, spanning 2 centuries until 210 AH. This 200-year period was a time of goodness. Khalid bin Walid was a great general in military history. From childhood, he was agile, vigorous, and brave. He was the son of Walid bin Nusayr, the chief of the Banu Makhzum tribe, and was beloved by all. As he grew, his intelligence and bravery shone. He was physically striking and considered among the nobles during the pre-Islamic era. From Badr to Hudaybiyah, he commanded the Quraysh army, after which his heart was illuminated by Islam. Khalid bin Walid's conversion story is also fascinating. According to Ibn Said, narrated by Harith bin Hisham, before accepting Islam, he would face the Prophet peace be upon him, but was always overwhelmed by his awe, until Allah instilled the love of Islam in his heart. Once, during the Battle of the Trench, he thought of attacking the Muslims while they were praying, but was unable to do so. He felt a divine force holding him back. Then, he realized that the Prophet peace be upon him was supported by a divine power and would prevail over the world. After the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, he considered going to Abyssinia or joining Heraclius, but then his brother sent him a letter urging him to accept Islam. This letter filled his heart with desire for Islam and brought him peace. He had a dream in which he moved from a dark, barren place to a green, open field, which further strengthened his resolve to go to Medina. He met Uthman bin Talha and Amr ibn al-As, who were also heading to Medina to embrace Islam. They reached Medina on one Safar Aida and presented themselves before the Prophet peace be upon him, who greeted them with a smile and said, "Khalid, based on your intelligence, I was hoping that you would accept Islam one day." Khalid bin Walid asked the Prophet peace be upon him to pray for his forgiveness for the sins he had committed while opposing Islam. The Prophet peace be upon him reassured him that Islam erases all previous sins. Khalid bin Walid still requested a special prayer, and the Prophet peace be upon him prayed for him. Then, Amr ibn al-As and Usman bin Talha also embraced Islam.